This week on Emily Celtics Weekly, with Bird back in the lineup, the Celtics return to their running and winning ways. Now in his second year at the helm, Dave Gavitt talks about the Celtics as they head down the stretch. And Magic Johnson returns to Boston to deliver an important message to kids at the Jeremiah Burke High School. All this and more next on Emily Celtics Weekly.
Emily Celtics Weekly, brought to you by Emily Motor Oil. Better than it has to be. And now, here's your host, Mike Gorman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Gorman, and welcome to Emily Celtics Weekly. Well, the Celtics are on a winning streak, 4 games to be exact, and you'd have to go back to mid-January to find that many wins in a row. Now, 3 of those wins have come at home. The first one was over a week ago against Dallas, and then it all continued on Wednesday night against Orlando. Robert Parrish shows the quick hands early as he comes up with a steal, gets it out to Kevin Gamble. A night of dunks for the Celtics. That one gives them an 18-17 lead. Then D. Brown to Larry Bird. Quick pass for Reggie Lewis. Reg goes up for the stuff, and the Celtics are up 20-19 in the first. D. Brown's turn, coming up with the steal. Easy one for D. 24-19. Boston is up by 5. Then Larry Bird, the long pass to Rick Fox. He finds Ed Pinckney trailing, and Boston has a 7-point lead, 43-36. Then Kevin Gamble to Reggie Lewis under the basket. Another dunk. Boston up by 13. Brian Williams got a block there on Larry Bird. Terry Catledge had 20 on the night for Orlando. That cut the Celtic lead to 11. Then Larry Bird with a nice bounce pass here to Reggie Lewis for a layup. The Celtics go up 76-65. Kevin Gamble coming up with the steal. D. Brown did everything on this one except block his eyes. Celtics lead by 13, 80-67. Scott Skiles comes up with a block on a D. Brown shot there. Then Scott would hit a three-pointer. He had 17 on the night. Celtic lead down to 12, 90-78 in the fourth. But Sherman Douglas, great drive right there for the basket and gets fouled. Celtics now have a 25-point lead. Eddie Pinckney, another dunk just for fun, and Rick Fox will finish it off. Boston wins big by 25.
Well, I thought everybody just played great team defense. When Rick Fox, Ed Pinckney, Sherman came in, they just picked it right on up. We never lost a beat, and that's the way we have to play. We just have to make sure that we try to improve on tonight's effort and just build on and get better.
We scouted them. They didn't really get back well on transition, so the key was going to the game to push the ball up the court and get in our running game.
Well, I think we were within 10 points at the 8-minute mark. Obviously, they were in control of the game. Chris was resting Parrish and Bird and Lewis, but that was our opportunity to try to put a dent in that 10-point lead, and we didn't do it.
We feel we have a lot of guys that are capable of scoring if we can just get the ball to them. We need more assists, and we need more guys doing the job like they did tonight, because it's hard to defense a team when you have good ball movement.
We was able to sustain that too, for the full 48 minutes. I feel like everybody that played hard, and made a big contribution.
The ball movement was very good. It's nice to see that, and that's the style that I think we can play. Teams have got to honor some of our players because they're such great one-on-one offensive threats that when they set in double teams, if we move the ball and have good spacing, we're going to at least come up with a nice attempt. If the shot goes in, it's another story.
The Clippers got off quickly on Friday night. Danny Manning for 2 of his 22 there, and L.A. leads by 7. Then Rick Fox inside to Ed Pinckney for the layup, and that ties the game at 36 in the second. Then Fox coming up with a strip there on Ron Harper. Sherman Douglas to Kevin Gamble for the layup. Boston leads by 2. And it's Rick Fox again. This time to Sherman Douglas. Back to Rick for the dunk. And Boston's up 4, 48-44. Finally, an alley-oop from Sherman. The Celtics lead by 6. Ken Norman had a good night, showed some outside range, hitting that jump shot and getting fouled. Celtic lead is down to 4. Bird finds Reggie Lewis to the back door for a layup. Boston back up by 6. Then Larry showing the outside range, hits a 3. And the Celtics go up by 11. That was Larry's second of the game. And Bird taking it inside for a baseline drive and scoop shot. The Celtics lead 76-65. And then one more time, Larry outside with the 3. Boston goes up by 14. D. Brown gets it ahead to Rick Fox for a layup and a foul, and the Celtics are cruising now, up by 20. And then Fox will miss the 3, but Joe Klein, one of his 8 rebounds, and the follow score. Boston wins easily.
who's that 33 guy? You know, they played well. Their bench played well, and they shot the ball. I thought the first half, you know, it was remarkable. We were down 6 because they beat us on the board, and they shot the ball pretty well.
We usually have a lot of guys in double figures because we have some offensive talent on this team, but I think the key tonight was our defensive play and in the second half and the ball movement.
You know, we got some easy baskets. You know, the defense's pressure on the ball, you know, created little turnovers, created, I think, frustration on their part that allowed them to be a little careless.
The second quarter was big for us. You know, again, got to give a lot of credit to Sherman Douglas. Put a lot of pressure on the point guards and enable us to get a lot of easy baskets.
Well, right now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. My weight is going down, so I'm able to use my quickness and push the ball up the court and do the things I've been doing the last 2 years.
Well, we were getting good shots early on, and we just continued to take the same shots, and then eventually the shots started to fall. We did an excellent job of just packing the defense in and just containing them and holding them to one shot. And then D and Sherman did an excellent job pushing the ball up the court and finding the open man for a quick jumper or open layup.
The Celtics need to get out quickly on the road, and Kevin Gamble and Robert Parrish combine inside to Reggie Lewis, and Boston's up 16-9 in the first. But Stanley Roberts would have a big night, 20 points. That cut the lead to 3. Kevin McHale back in the lineup, hitting the old jump hook shot. Boston goes up 7, 24-17. Rick Fox a miss, but Eddie Pinckney a rebound, and then a good look for Joe Klein. Celtics lead by 9 in the second. Stanley Roberts, though, hit some amazing shots last night. Celtics by 6, 44-38. And Sherman Douglas the loose ball to Reggie Lewis for a layup. Boston is up by 13, 53-40. Kevin Gamble had 18 on the night, including 2 right there. Kept the Celtic lead at 18. And then Kevin Gamble poking the ball away from Skiles. Good ball movement here by the Celtics. Robert Parrish gets the stuff. Celtics lead by 18. Brian Williams, another player who had a good night for Orlando, finished with 24. Larry Bird, another 3 to put the Celtics up by 20. And then Ed Pinckney, the rebound to Douglas, to Rick Fox for the layup, and Boston gets a road win. Well, the Celtics' 4-game win streak will be tested this week as they continue on the road with games at Miami and at Chicago against the Bulls. Coming up next here on Amalie Celtics Weekly, we'll talk to Celtics Senior Executive Vice President Dave Gavitt about his 2 years in charge of the Green.
Did we ever see ourselves
fair or proper to put a timetable on when Larry Bird will play basketball again? We are not dealing with a malingerer here. We are dealing with a highly focused, completely team-oriented professional athlete. And to put a timetable, some kind of an artificial framework on when he would be expected back to play would be unfair to him. It would be unfair to the medical team that's going to supervise his recovery period. And Larry and I agreed on Tuesday that that's the way to go.
Welcome back to Amalie Celtics Weekly, everyone. Dave Gavitt is nearing the end of his 2nd year as the man in charge of the Boston Celtics. And last week I had a chance to sit down and talk with Dave about Larry Bird's return and his time spent in the job.
I'm a lot more comfortable with the rest of the league and a lot more comfortable with understanding how long the season is and a few other things than I was in year 1. I've never felt uncomfortable with my knowledge of our team because I think I did my homework on our team before we ever threw the ball up in training camp a year ago in my first year. But I do have a better feel for the rest of the league now, I think. And I was never uncomfortable with my ability to evaluate college talent. So that hasn't changed. But just in terms of how the league works, I'm a lot more comfortable than I was. But again, a lot of that is being current now, and it still takes a lot of work and a lot of energy.
No one was happier than Dave Gavitt to see Larry Bird return to the Celtics lineup. Gavitt is well aware that Bird remains the key ingredient to Boston's success.
Well, I think it would be interesting to have to watch Chicago without Michael for an extended period of time. And we have seen what a Lakerless Magic team has struggled without him. Usually, you know, it happened last year, it happened this year. I think when Larry first went out, we can sustain for a little while, but then all of a sudden, you know, other people start knowing some of the things they can do to you, and you start ending up in a confidence drain a little bit. Then he comes back, and all the little things that he adds, just the worry going into the game, in the opposing team's locker room. We've talked about his shooting, his passing, his rebounding. and is triggered in the fast break. But Mike, I want to talk about something that not too many people realize about Larry Bird. He is the best setter of screens in the league. He is an offense unto himself when he simply sets a little down screen, because he might pop a Reggie Lewis for a jumper. If the defense cheats, he'll step through the hedge and cause someone else to have to help him, which may open the cheat for Kevin Gamble. And then the defense goes down behind to take Reggie. He pops out and hits the shot. So all of those things can happen off one little simple move, but his screen is so precise that he triggers all of that action. He just is a remarkable talent. I mean, his ability to see plays, and he's so intelligent on the court and off the court. And his focus, as we talk tonight, I mean, he comes to a practice game day, and if he senses that there's too much of a looseness in the shoot-around, he puts a mug on him and just starts busting people until everybody is like, wow, what's the matter with the cap today? But it's just his way of saying, hey, we got to show up ready to play tonight.
The recent return of D. Brown has caused a major shift at the point guard spot. Gavitt and the Celtics want to see how this team develops with Brown and Sherman Douglas running the show.
You know, D, I think, is coming along nicely. He at least has the advantage. He played here last year. He knows what we're trying to do. He just needed minutes to get his confidence under him again. And I think when he first came back, he was so happy to be back. He was trying to do too much. He thought he was Michael Jordan, and he was going to do everything every night to try to bail us out. I think with Sherman, you know, we've got a guy that didn't play the first 3 months of the season. Now he comes to a new team. Half the team isn't present half the time. It's been a kind of a tough transition for him. To his credit, he's hanging in there and he's working hard. And we're not unmindful of the job that John Bagley did. I think what we're really looking to do, though, is to see how good we can be with these two guys in a rotation. And by really committing to D at 1, we need to have Fox on the court defensively. His minutes were going away as the minutes we were giving to D to try to mix and match 3 point guards. It wasn't that we're dissatisfied with D, but we need Rick defensively to be on the court. We can't have his minutes dry up, because even though he's a rookie, we know come playoff time that this could make things happen, and we're going to need him. So I think that that's a big benefit of what we're doing and the rotation we're going with.
With a little over a month remaining in the regular season, Gavitt is hoping the team can put its full lineup together and get some momentum headed for the playoffs.
Number one, we want to win every game because we really want to catch the Knicks. There's such a big premium for winning your division in terms of the playoff matchups and the number spots. So that's our goal number one: go out and be competitive every night and try to win every time out. And number two, I think, is use the 24, 25 games that we had remaining when we did get most everybody back, assuming Kevin won't be out too long as we speak, to get some kind of chemistry and some kind of rhythm developed, both offensively and defensively, so that come playoff time, hopefully we've got everything running on all cylinders.
Dave Gavitt and the Celtics realize that the team's playoff prospects look a lot brighter if they can win the Atlantic Division.
What catching the Knicks does is it gives you 2 series before you have to deal with Chicago. That may not be as important for Detroit or Cleveland, who have remained fairly healthy, but for us, that's very important, because that means there's another, 12, another 10, another 9 games, if we're successful in those 2 series of intense playoff-type competition that we'd have under our belt before we had to deal with Chicago. If we don't finish first in the Atlantic, we're not only going to face Chicago in the second round, but we're most likely going to probably end up with Detroit in the first. And for a team that's trying to get it done without much time to get it done, that's not a great scenario to have happen.
Well, another team concerned about its playoff chances is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the Lakers have been severely hurt by injuries, and most importantly, the retirement of Magic Johnson. Last week, Magic came to Boston with a message for students at the Jeremiah Burke High School, and we'll take a look at that and more next here on Emily Celtics Weekly.
A spokesman for the HIV virus, because I want people and young people to realize that they can practice safe sex. And sometimes you're a little naive about it and you think it could never happen to you. And you only thought it could happen to, other people and so on and on. And it has happened, but I'm gonna deal with it and my life will go on.
We were all stunned back in November when Earvin Magic Johnson announced his retirement from the game of basketball because he had tested positive for the HIV virus. Since that time, Magic has tried to educate everyone about HIV and AIDS. And this past week, he was joined by Larry Bird and Senator Ted Kennedy at the Jeremiah Burke High School here in Dorchester.
Even before anyone arrived, the students of Jeremiah Burke High School were cheering as if they were watching a Celtics-Lakers game. As the celebrities gathered outside the auditorium, the student body of Jeremiah Burke knew they were in for the treat of their lifetime. For most of these kids, the opportunity to see NBA players at their school would never happen again. However, Magic Johnson's appearance provided hope and determination that everyone's future was bright, provided they continued their education. Earvin Magic Johnson came to Jeremiah Burke High School here in Dorchester with his arms wide open, and the students opened their arms to him too. But Earvin came to Burke High School with a message about AIDS and education.
We're living in a society where right now HIV and AIDS is bigger than it ever has been before. And it's increasing every day, every minute, every hour. And just like I thought that it couldn't affect me or it couldn't happen to me, it has happened to me. But I'm gonna deal with the situation by working out and taking care of myself and doing all the things I'm supposed to do. But I'm here today to let you know how important it is for you to have this information.
Magic pointed out some chilling statistics to show how the HIV virus has run rampant among communities of color.
Right now, 54% of all teenagers with AIDS are minorities. 54%. That's big. 50% of all children with AIDS are minorities. In New York, New Jersey, women 17 to 30, the #1 killer of black females is AIDS. Now you know how big New Jersey and New York is? Now that's an astounding number. And of course now we get to this, everybody think and thought that it was a gay disease. But it's not, because 75% of all cases right now is heterosexual, meaning you and I can get it easily.
I think it's important that where you look at the high numbers in the minority community, and I think it's important that where a person that is minority comes back to the minority community to try to basically what we say, wake up the community, to let them know that it's here. Let's all identify with the problem. Now let's do something about it. And the only way that we're going to do it if we all work together instead of one saying, oh, well, it won't happen to me. But let's pool our information together, pool our community together, and now let's work on it.
In the black community, minority community, we got to get out of denial. And when I say that we're in denial, not thinking it's in our community, it can't happen to me. I'm too big and strong. I look too good, whatever it might be. We got to get out of that. Because I'm a true test of that. Yeah, I thought all those things too. I'm too strong, it can't happen to me, and it's happened. So it can definitely happen to you.
He also advised the youngsters to take precautions sexually.
The safest sex is no sex. But we all know that you're going to have sex. So if you're going to do it, you're going to have responsible sex. And of course, that means using a condom, looking out for not only yourself, but your partner as well. Now, I'm not here to endorse that, because that's not my position. My position is talk to your parents, your counselor, your teacher, the headmaster here, and they can let you know about condoms and the whole 9 yards in terms of that.
I think when you listen to Magic's message and the way he said it, and the fact that if he can have HIV positive, anybody can. I mean, it can happen to any of us, and the best sex is no sex.
Now, on the other side of this, I came here for is to tell you that whatever you want to be, education is the key to all that. You know, whatever it is you want to accomplish, it's about education. Now, everybody's not cut out for college. Well, that's all right. Well, then go to trade school, get a trade, and be the best computer person, be the best legal secretary, be the best plumber, whatever it is, just as long as you know that you're the best at whatever you're doing, and you gave your best shot, your honest effort. That's all. And that's what life is about.
It's been something that I'll never forget. You know, this is something that hopefully I'll tell my kids. You know, this is something that'll always be inside of me. And just to have Magic Johnson come to our school and represent, you know, not really represent, but talk to us about the HIV virus is something meaningful to all of us. Hopefully a lot of kids came here to understand his message, not just to come and see him and try to get an autograph. Hopefully everybody came to understand him and listen to him.
My problem is, see, I got your attention now, but are you going to apply it tomorrow? That's the key right there.
Each week on Amalie Celtics Weekly, our reporter Willie May has brought you all kinds of stories. Talks with Magic Johnson, horse with Ed Pinckney, bowling with Dee Brown, summer camp with Reggie Lewis, just to name a few. Coming up next, we'll take a look at a story about Willie May when Amalie Celtics Weekly continues.
To Coach William May.
Some people know Willie May as our reporter here on Amalie Celtics Weekly. Others know him as the sports director for WILD AM Radio in Boston. But still others know him as a community leader who has devoted many, many hours to helping the youth of Boston. Recently, Willie May was honored at the Edwards Middle School in Charlestown for his many years of dedication to Boston City School children. The Edwards School held a surprise Willie May Day to honor one of their favorite frequent visitors. Congratulations, Willie. Busy week for the Celtics here. They will continue on the road. And again, the Celtics have got their hands full. First come the Miami Heat at Miami. Miami's played very well at home. They think they can make the playoffs this year. Then the very next night, the Chicago Bulls in the Chicago Stadium. Game time for that one is at 8 o'clock. The New Jersey Nets, another very hot basketball team. The Celtics will meet them Friday in Hartford. We'll have it for you here on Sports Channel at 7 p.m. And then on the national television, NBC, the Portland Trailblazers make their annual appearance at the Boston Garden. That's coming up on Sunday. So the Celtics, a 4-game winning streak in hand, have their work cut out for them. Hope you enjoyed the last half hour, everybody. See you next week on Amalie Celtics Weekly.